Hey, gorgeous rebel. Let's get one thing straight. There's wanting, and then there's wanting. You know what I mean? There's the I should probably want this, right? Kind of desire. It's the checklist, the polite nod, the do I look normal yet kind of want. The kind that sounds good at brunch but feels like lukewarm tea in your soul. And then there's the other kind. That's the body level hunger. The want that's so alive, so magnetic, so undeniable, you almost want to hide it under your bed just in case someone tries to take it away. The kind of want that makes your skin hum, your stomach flip, your heart race, and maybe, just maybe, scares the absolute hell out of you because it's so real. If you've ever found yourself confusing the two, or if you've ever played the role of good partner, good friend, good whatever, while ignoring the weird, wild, inconvenient longings in your body, then welcome. You're in exactly the right place. I'm Dr. Misty, and this is a bonus newsletter episode of Untamed Ember, where we burn the scripts handed to us by shame, trauma, and high-demand systems, and write something a hell of a lot more honest. Today, we're diving into a practice I call When Your Body Says More, Please. This is about how to recognize authentic desire, how to tell it apart from performance, and how to reclaim the right to want what you want without apology. Because this isn't about becoming more sexual. It's about becoming more honest, about pleasure, about presence, about what actually lights you up, and about why that can be so damn terrifying for those of us who've learned to override our own hunger just to survive. So whether your desires are loud and rowdy or quiet as a whisper, stick with me. We're about to get beautifully real. Let's start by naming the elephant in the room. Most of us have a black belt in performing desire. We learn to want what we're supposed to want. To nod along, play the part, smile politely, and keep the peace, even if our body is screaming, no, not now, or I'd rather be eating cold pizza in the bathtub. Performed desire is the stuff of scripts. It's logical, strategic, sometimes even convincing on the outside. Maybe you said yes to that date, that party, that sex, that extra shift, because you thought you should. Maybe you've even convinced yourself you wanted it because everyone else seemed to want it. Or because you didn't want to be a problem. Or because that's what good people do. Here's what performed desire often feels like. Flat, tight, heavy. Your body goes through the motions, but your spark is missing. You might feel tension in your jaw, a pit in your stomach, or that low-level hum of resentment you can't quite name. You might feel like you're floating above the scene, watching yourself act out a role, you're doing it right, but you're not actually here. Now, contrast that with authentic desire. Real, full-bodied, sometimes messy desire. This kind of want is alive. It's inconvenient, unruly, and rarely shows up on schedule. It's the flutter in your chest, the ache in your belly, the electricity that runs down your arms and legs when you really want something, whether that's touch, connection, rest, food, or just 5 minutes with nobody talking at you. Authentic desire doesn't always make sense. It doesn't check if you're allowed. It just is. Sometimes it's soft, like a gentle tug. Sometimes it's a tidal wave that almost knocks you over. Either way, you feel it. Sometimes with excitement, sometimes with fear, sometimes both. And here's the kicker. If you grew up with trauma, in a high-demand culture, or you're neurodivergent, your body probably had to perform just to survive. Maybe you learned to mask your hunger, mute your pleasure, or trade authenticity for acceptance. That wasn't weakness. That was a brilliant survival move. So if you're not sure what authentic desire feels like, if you're better at performance than presence, that's not a personal flaw. That's a product of your history, your nervous system, your context. But your body remembers. Even if you don't trust it yet, those genuine hungers are still in there, humming quietly, waiting for permission to speak up. So, I want to invite you to pause for a second. Can you remember a moment when you wanted something, not because you should, but because every cell in your body reached for it? Maybe it was a craving for a particular food, a sudden urge to dance, the desire to be alone, the itch for a new adventure. What did it feel like in your body to really want? Did you let yourself have it? Or did you push it down, wrap it in logic, tell yourself it was too much? No shame if you did. We're all just learning. But noticing the difference, that's where the reclamation begins. All right, so you might be sitting there thinking, okay, but how the hell am I supposed to know what I actually want? If you've spent years overriding your instincts, ignoring your needs, or hustling for gold stars in someone else's story, it makes sense if your yes and no wires feel a little crossed. But here's the beautiful, slightly infuriating truth. Your body is always talking. Sometimes it's just using a language you forgot you knew. Start with micro check-ins. Forget the Hollywood drama of giant revelations. We're looking for micro signals. Pause. Right now, if you want. Notice what's happening in your body. Is your body leaning in even a millimeter towards something? Do your shoulders drop? Does your breath deepen? Or do you feel yourself tightening, pulling away, holding your breath, wanting to ghost out of your own body? That's data, not judgment. Data. The yes sensation. For some people, yes feels like energy, expansion, that little full body hum of possibility. It might show up as warmth in your chest, a smile you can't quite hide, a sense of relief. Sometimes it's subtle, or sometimes it's a hell yes that practically launches you out of your seat. The no sensation. No can feel like contraction, heaviness, a knot in your gut, or a sudden urge to change the subject, leave the room, or scroll TikTok for 3 hours. Sometimes it's numbness, zoning out, or a complete shutdown. Sometimes it's annoyance or irritation, or those ick feelings you learn to ignore. And here's the key. If you're neurodivergent, have alexithymia, or just grew up in a household where no was never safe, you might not feel anything at first. Or you might only notice after the fact, in hindsight, when you're exhausted or resentful. That's okay. Practice makes it louder. Try this out with no pressure, just as an experiment. Say yes out loud. Notice what happens in your body. Say no out loud. Notice again. Does your jaw clench? Do you feel silly? Does your chest lift? Do you want to laugh or maybe run away? No wrong answers. You're just learning your own language. Remember, your no is sacred. You are under no obligation to want what others want for you. You don't owe anyone a yes, not even yourself if you're not sure. If you notice yourself disconnecting, freezing, or slipping into performance, that's not failure. That's your body protecting you. That's wisdom just waiting for safety. Practice in low-stakes moments. If tuning in during sex or high-stakes situations feels impossible, start small. Try it with food, clothing, music, or how you want to spend your evening. Notice, when do you override your body's no? When do you ignore a yes out of habit or fear of being too much? Honoring your genuine signals, even in the little things, builds trust for the big stuff. Let's tell the radical, uncomfortable truth. Authentic desire is thrilling, but it can also be terrifying. For a lot of us, wanting something with our whole body feels risky, exposed, even dangerous. That's not a personal failing. It's the residue of a culture, a family system, or a trauma history that taught us our hunger was too much, not enough, or just flat out inconvenient. Desire, at its core, is vulnerability. When you say, I want, you're admitting something matters to you. You're opening yourself to disappointment, to rejection, to being seen in ways you maybe learned to avoid. If you were shamed, ignored, or punished for wanting as a kid, or if your culture told you desire equals danger or sin, it's no wonder your system learned to hit the brakes. Sometimes your body responds to desire by slamming the emergency stop. Do any of these sound familiar? You get anxious or fidgety, talking yourself out of what you want before you even start. You feel a big want and immediately feel shame, dread, or even panic. You dissociate, numb out, or convince yourself you never wanted it anyway. This is not a character flaw. This is your nervous system doing its job. It's protecting you from the pain of wanting in a world that hasn't always been safe or generous with you. So, how do you make friends with that wild, inconvenient, beautiful intensity? You start by naming the fear. What feels risky about wanting what you want? Who or what taught you it wasn't safe to have big hungers? Where does that old script still live in your body? It can help to create a little more safety as you play with the edges of your desire. Grab a weighted blanket, put on music that soothes your system, or touch something soft while you tune into what you want. Try letting yourself want just a tiny bit more, then back off when it feels overwhelming. Pendulation is allowed. You don't have to dive all the way in at once. Journal, draw, or voice memo about your desires. No one else needs to see or hear it. Remember, the goal is not to bulldoze past your fear. It's to honor your system's wisdom and gently invite more capacity for desire over time. Intensity doesn't mean you're broken, it means you're alive. It means your body is waking up. And it's absolutely okay to take it slow, to move at the speed of trust, and to ask for support when desire feels like too much to carry alone. You're not too much. Your longing is not a liability. The world is simply not used to people who are brave enough to feel it all. Here's where things get a little spicy, and honestly, a little confusing, because sometimes what we think we want isn't a genuine desire at all. It's a craving for safety, approval, or a recycled pattern that used to keep us alive. Let's break it down. Desire is a spark, a pull, a yes that lives somewhere below your collarbone. It doesn't always make sense. It isn't always logical, practical, or guaranteed to be received well. Desire is about aliveness. It's about following what feels rich, juicy, or necessary to your body, even if it's not what you or anyone else expected. Attachment, on the other hand, often masquerades as want, but it's really about seeking comfort, reassurance, or relief from anxiety. Sometimes we chase a thing, or a person, or a feeling, because we're actually longing for safety, belonging, or to quiet the voice that says, if you get this, you'll finally be enough. Here's a tough question. How do you know the difference? Start with radical honesty. No shame, just curiosity. If no one else knew you wanted this, would you still want it? If you couldn't show it off, get a gold star, or post about it, would you still crave it? Does this want make your body feel energized, playful, and grounded, or does it come with anxiety, urgency, or a tightness in your gut? Have you ever wanted someone's approval more than the thing itself? Or kept chasing a feeling of being good, acceptable, or worthy, only to feel hollow when you got what you thought you wanted? That's attachment in a fancy hat. It's not bad or wrong, it's just a sign that there's an old survival script running under the surface. So, try this. Next time you notice a strong craving, get curious about what's underneath it. Ask, is this my actual hunger, or am I reaching for comfort, familiarity, or validation? No judgment, just information. Sometimes what you uncover will surprise you. Sometimes you'll realize the thing you thought you wanted isn't really yours at all. And sometimes you'll find that your real desire is quieter, more unruly, and way more interesting than any performance you could pull off. The point isn't to purify your desires or be the perfect kind of wanting. It's just to get honest about what's alive for you, so you can stop confusing old attachment for true longing and start moving toward what actually feeds you. You deserve wants that are messy, honest, and entirely your own. So here's where we get radically, gloriously rebellious. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your wants. Let me say that again, just in case some old shame script tried to plug its ears. You do not have to justify your desires, not to your partner, not to your parents, not to your inner critic, not even to me. You get to want what you want simply because you want it. Your desires are not shameful. They're not greedy, selfish, or too much. They're information. A living, breathing, sometimes messy record of what brings you alive. And you don't need to shrink, sanitize, or over-explain any of it to be worthy. Maybe your want is loud and takes up space. Maybe it's soft and sneaky, something you only admit to yourself at midnight. Maybe you don't even know exactly what you want yet. You just know you're hungry for something more real. That counts, too. So here's a practice for this week. Pick one want, just one. Let it be as tiny or as wild as it needs to be. Whisper it to yourself. Write it down. Scream it in the car. Draw it in the margins of your notes. No need to act on it. No need to make a 5-year plan. Just give yourself the radical permission to want. Without apology, your longing is not a problem to solve. It's a compass. It's your spark. It's proof that you are, miraculously, still alive, still capable of movement, pleasure, and hope. Even after everything, so honor it. Feed it. Let it grow. And if the world tells you to be smaller, quieter, easier to manage, remember, you didn't come here to fit. You came here to burn, to bloom, to want. You are allowed. Thanks for being here, beautiful human. If this resonated, try one micro practice this week and let your wants speak, even if it's just to yourself. If you want more, come find us at Untamed Ember for deeper dives and reflection tools, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, keep listening, keep wanting, and keep the rebellion alive.